Kana hop napi relatives, and biwa tahushka opi miha. Hi, relatives. Welcome into the live stream. See if we can get a few people in here. But what we're going to do today is we're going to get back into the Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina family histories. As you know, we've been doing this series, and we're going to get back into it today. And I figured I'd try to do this live stream version just to see how it goes. But you guys come on in and let me know what you think. Let's get into it. All right. So what I'm going to do is share my screen real quick. All right. So I believe we left off last time with the Anderson family. So let's start there. So we got a picture here, and this is Dora Anderson Miller, born June 1859 in Henry County, Tennessee. She married George Miller in Chattanooga and died in Ohio in 1924. She was the daughter of Sandy Anderson, who was born in Granville County, North Carolina in 1825. All right. It says the Anderson family was freed by the October 29, 1712 will of John Fulcher in Norfolk County, Virginia. He appointed Lewis Connor executor and granted his Negroes, men and women, and children their freedom. All right. And he left them 640 acres of land on Seawalls Point in Norfolk County. The freeing of these 15 slaves prompted the council on March 5th, 1712 or 13 to recommend that the General Assembly provide by law against such manumissions of slaves, which may in time, by their increase and correspondence with other slaves, may endanger the peace of this colony. All right, let's keep it moving. It says on March 20th, 1712 or 13, the Andersons exchanged with Lewis Connor the 640 acres left to them by Fulcher's will with 300 acres of other land by a deed of confirmation, which identified them by name. All right, so we got Robert Richards, Maria Richards, Kate Anderson, Pester Anderson, Betty Anderson, Lewis Anderson, Sarah Anderson, and our children, to wit, Peter Anderson, George Anderson, Dinah Anderson, Ned Anderson, Rachel Anderson, Mingo Anderson, Tony Anderson, and Susan Anderson, infants. All right. In response to Connor's petition of that same day, the Norfolk County Court ordered him to transport the Negroes lately set free by the Fulcher's will out of the colony and ordered the sheriffs to assist him. And it says on August 11th, 1714, Robert Richard was called a free Negro man when the Norfolk County Court ordered him to stand trial. Kate Anderson, who was not charged, was found making a shirt for Richards from 3 yards of the material. All right, let's keep. Lewis Connor, by a deed dated October 20th, 1715, swapped their land in Norfolk County with 640 acres of land on Welsh's Creek in a part of the Chowan County, North Carolina, which later became Martin and Washington counties. All right, and it shows where you can find that information. All right, let's keep it moving. Although the deed of exchange for the land was acknowledged and recorded in Chowan County in September 1715, it appears that the Andersons never took possession of the land. and there is no record of the Andersons ever selling the land in North Carolina. There was also a Norfolk County deed of July 15, 1715, from James, a free Negro of Princess Anne County, whereby he sold to Lewis Connor for 50 pounds, land lying and being between Tanner's Creek and Sowell's Point in Norfolk County, being an equal part, and all that share of land which was given the said James by his deceased master, Mr. John Fulcher. All right, let's keep it moving. On December 18, 1715, Lewis Connor charged George, a slave of Margaret Willoughby, with attacking him when he met Kate Anderson with George on the King Road. On May 20th, 1715, Lewis Connor sued the Anderson family to get the Chowan County deed admitted into the Norfolk County record, and thus reclaiming his bond as administrator of Fulcher's estate, but the Anderson family refused. The case was postponed alternately at the request of plaintiff and defendants for 2 years, until June 21st, 1717, when a Norfolk County jury found in favor of the Andersons that Connor had not fulfilled his obligation. And then it shows here in these brackets where you can find the orders for this. And then it says Lewis Connor appealed to the court at Williamsburg, which ruled in his favor on October 22nd, 1717. The Williamsburg court ruling is referred to in Norfolk Orders 1734-36. All right, let's keep it moving. And it says on May 16, 1718, the Richards and Anderson families brought suit against Lewis Connors for debt, but the case, not being prosecuted, was dismissed. And on June 20th, 1718, the court presented Robin Richards for harboring Negroes. A August 19, 1718 Norfolk County deed referred to land on the east side of the path that leads to the road to Sowell's Point, to where Black Robin and the rest of the free Negroes now live. All right, keep it moving. It says on December 20th, 1734, Edward Ned Anderson, one of the children freed by Fulcher's will, sued Lewis Connor's heirs over whether there be deed or no deed relating to the land in Bath County in Carolina. It says the court ruled against Edward, referring to the October 22nd, 1717 suit at Williamsburg. All right, so let's keep it moving. We're going to get into the actual family here. It says Kate Anderson, born, say, 1670, may have been the mother of Hester, Betty, Lewis, and Sarah Anderson. The other adults listed after her in the above-mentioned Norfolk County deed since the March 17, 1717-18 Norfolk County Court case referred to the family as Kate Anderson and all the free Negroes. Her son Edward was called son born of the body of Kate, a Negro woman set free by the will of said Fulcher on December 20th, 1734 in Norfolk County Court. Her children were Hester Anderson, artist, born, say, 1687, ancestor of the artist family of North Carolina and Southampton County, Virginia. Then we got Elizabeth, born, say, 1688. Then we got Lewis, born, say, 1690. Since he was an adult when John Fulcher wrote his 1712 will, he was tithable in his own household in the 1730 Norfolk County list of tithables. Adjacent to Peter Anderson, perhaps they were identical to Lewis and Peter, no last name, who were presented by the Norfolk County Court on November 16, 1744, for not listing their wives as tithables. He married Catherine Bass before July 25th, 1748, when her father, Edward Bass, made his New Hampton County, North Carolina will. By this will, Catherine received 50 acres near Urahaw Swamp in Northampton County, which she and Lewis sold on November 12th, 1757. All right, let's keep it moving. Sarah, born, say, 1691. Edward or Ned, born, say, 1702. Then we got Abraham, born, say, 1703. A free Negro sued in Princess Anne County Court on December 2nd, 1729, by Alexander Jameson for killing his mare. The court found Abraham guilty and ordered that he pay Jameson £2. The same court fined him 2,000 pounds of tobacco for concealing 2 tithables, one of whom was probably his wife. All right, let's keep it moving. And it says, according to the March 20th, 1712 or 13, release for the land in Norfolk County, the children of Kate, Hester, Betty, Lewis, and Sarah were Peter, born, say, 1694, George, born, say, 1696, Dinah, born, say, 1698, Rachel, born, say, 1700, Mingo, born, say, 1705, Tony, born, say, 1707, and Susan, born, say, 1710. So as y'all can see, like we got people, that are born here, but dating back to the 1600s. So that's definitely a big deal. All right, let's keep it moving. Then we got Elizabeth Anderson was probably born about 1688, since she was an adult when John Fulcher wrote his 1712 will. She may have been the Betty Anderson free, who was taxable in Norfolk County and Tanner's Creek District in 1735. And then it shows where you can see that information. She was a free Negro who sued Susanna Fleury on January 21st, 1743-44, and William Mansfield on April 18th, 1746 in Norfolk County Court. And it shows where you can see that court order. She may have been protesting the treatment. Sorry about that, relatives. Let me go back. Apologize for that. Give me just a second here. While I'm looking for it, find out where we left off here. Here we go. All right. I apologize for that. So I'm going to start over right here. I believe this is the paragraph where I was at. Elizabeth Anderson was probably born 1688, since she was an adult when John Fulcher wrote his 1712 will. She may have been the Betty Anderson free, who was taxable in Norfolk County and Tanner's Creek District in 1735. She was a free Negro who sued Susanna Fleury on January 21st, 1743/44, and William Mansfield on April 18th, 1746 in Norfolk County Court. Says she may have been protesting the treatment of her children, bound apprentices to them. She was awarded 40 shillings in her suit of trespass, assault, and battery against Susanna Fleury on November 16, 1746. And it says the same court presented her for not listing her tithables. Her children may have been Lewis, born, say, 1713, Kate, born, say, 1727, called a free Negro on October 17th, 1755, when the court ordered the church wardens of Elizabeth River Parish to bind her son Charles Anderson to James Ashley. The indenture, signed on May 7th, 1756, stated that Charles was 12 years old on October 15th, 1755. And it says indenture of apprenticeship, 1756. And it says African American Native Digital Collection. So that's where you can find that info. All right. Then next we have Margaret, born, say, 1730. And then next we got Sarah Anderson, born, say, 1691, was living in Norfolk County on July 19th, 1753, when the court ordered the church warden of Elizabeth River Parish to bind her daughter, Kate, to John Stanhope. She was deceased by April 18th, 1754, when the Norfolk County Court ordered the church wardens of Elizabeth River Parish to bind out her daughter, Nanny, to Merrick Meach. Her children were Kate, born, say, 1738, bound apprentice to John Stanhope in July 1753. And then we got Anne, born, say, 1740, bound apprentice in 1754, taxable on the west side of Church Street in Norfolk Borough in 1767. She may have been the mother of Samuel Anderson, a free Negro, living in Elizabeth River Parish on December 15th, 1774, when the court ordered the church wardens to bind him to Francis Jordan, who also lived in Norfolk Borough. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we got Edward or Ned Anderson, born, say, 1702, was still a child in 1712 when he was freed by Fulcher's will. He was bound as an apprentice tanner to John Jameson on February 3rd, 1720, in Princess Anne County, and taxable in Tanner's Creek District of Norfolk County in 1733. He was called the son born of the body of Kate, a Negro woman set free by will of said Fulcher when he sued Lewis Connor's heirs in Norfolk County Court on December 20th, 1734. He may have been the father of. Okay, so I'm going to stop for just a second, take a look at the chat, see how everybody's doing. Let's see who we got in here. Oh, cool. Okay. Peace, American Indian Council. Glad to have you here, bro. Peace to Love Legacy 500. Appreciate you, brother. Joe 47. Appreciate you as well, my brother. All right, family. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. All right, so we're going to continue. So we got Dempsey, born about 1728. Then we got Martha, born, say, 1733. Then we got Marshall, born, say, 1740. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we got Peter Anderson, born, say, 1694. Was a minor when John Fulcher made his will in 1712. He sued James Chapman in Princess Anne County Court for trespass on February 3rd, 1724 or 25. Henry Holmes and William Esther were his witnesses. He was taxable in Tanner's Creek District on Norfolk County in 1731, adjacent to Lewis Anderson, and taxable a second time in the same list, Peter Anderson and two more. He may have been the father of. Then we got Joyce, born before 1746, taxable in Townbridge District of Norfolk County in 1761 and 1765. And then the district of the town of Portsmouth and the Southern Branch in 1767. Then it shows where you can find that information. She was awarded £2 currency by the city of Norfolk, Hustings Court, on February 21st, 1763, in her suit against John Stanton for trespass, assault, and battery. Then next we have Judah, born 1746, taxable in the June 1761 list for a Townbridge District of Norfolk County. Perhaps the Judith Anderson, whose mulatto daughter, Sally Anderson, was bound apprentice to John Coombs in Edgecombe County, North Carolina in April 1763. Then it shows the minutes where you can find that court hearing. And then we got Aoife or a Fair, born, say, 1748. All right, relatives, let's keep it moving. Next, we got George Anderson, born, say, 1696, was the ancestor of North Carolina branch of the Anderson family. On January 13, 1738, he bought 260 acres of land on the south side of Bear Swamp, where he was then living in Bertie County, North Carolina, for £2 silver money from John Bass. This land became part of Northampton County when it was formed in 1741. In February 1738, he appeared in Bertie Court to apprentice a child to Daniel O'Quinn. This child was identified in the minutes of the November 10th, 1741 Bertie Court as Lawrence Anderson, a Negro servant. And then it says George sold his 240 acres in Northampton County on March 1st, 1745. And it says about 1746-48, he was taxed on 2 tithes in Granville County, North Carolina, in the list of Jonathan White, adjacent to Lewis Anderson. He was listed with his wife and children in the 1752 list of Robert Harris. And it says Anderson, George, his wife and sons George, Jeremiah, and daughter Kate, 5 black tithes. All right, let's keep it moving. And it says on June 3rd, 1755, he bought 240 acres in Granville from Jonathan White. He sold 200 acres of this land to his son Jeremiah on December 22nd, 1762. And on the same day, sold 100 acres adjoining this land to Edward Bass. On August 3rd, 1768, Nathan Bass, the illegitimate son of Love Bass, was bound to him as an apprentice. However, Nathan was already living with George Taxable and his household in the 1767 list of Stephen Jett. George's will was proved in Granville County in May 1771. Lovey Bass was probably his mistress, since he gave his plantation to her son Nathan Bass and gave her 2 cows and calves. He gave a bed to George Pettiford, son of Lawrence Pettiford, and gave only a shilling to his wife Mary and children, Jerry Anderson, Kate Harris, and Betty Smith. At his death, he owed £17, 8 shillings to young Miller and Company of Granville County, British merchants who listed him in their claims after the Revolutionary War. The claim mentioned George Anderson's executor, John Wicker, and his children were Lawrence, born, say, 1732, perhaps identical to Lawrence Pettiford. See the Pettiford family history. Then we got Betty Smith, mentioned in her father's 1771 will, perhaps related to Sarah Smith, mulatto. 1 black tie, who was head of her own household in 1768, Granville County tax list of Lynn Henley Bullock. Then we got George, born circa 1735, listed as George's son in the 1751 list of Jonathan White. He was in his own household in 1753, taxable on a black tie in the list of Robert Harris, adjacent to his father. Then we got Jeremiah, born before 1740. Then we got Catherine, born, say, 1737, taxable in her parents' household in 1751. She was listed in her parents' household in 1757, but was not listed with them in 1761. She was probably the wife, Catherine, in George Harris's Oxford district household in 1761. All right, next we got Ruth, born, say, 1738. Never taxable in George's household. She was a mulatto servant woman belonging to Colonel William Eaton on September 5th, 1755, when her 2-year-old mulatto girl Priscilla, born December 1752, was bound to Eaton and his wife Mary in Granville County. And then it says Nehemiah, born before 1746, since he was over 16 years old in 1761, when he was a black male taxable in his father's household. In the list for Oxford District, he was taxable in his father's household in 1767, list of Stephen Jett, but not in his 1768 list. And he was not mentioned in his father's 1771 will. And one other thing, relatives, we need to definitely get down to the bottom of this being bond out and being made apprentices to people, because we've been told, that all these people were slaves and all this other stuff, and it's starting to sound like, to me, just my opinion, that they were bonding these people out and teaching them trades. So at some point in time, we're gonna have to get into what exactly is happening there with that. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we got Lewis Anderson, born, say, 1713, was not named in John Fulcher's 1712 Norfolk County will. There is no indication of who his parents were, but he may have been the son of Elizabeth Anderson. He married Sarah Bass, the daughter of John Bass, before January 18, 1732. When Bass made his January 18, 1732 Bertie County will, Lewis was taxable in all the extant colonial Granville County, North Carolina. Okay. And it says tax list on himself in the first list circa 1746-48 by Jonathan White, adjutant to George Anderson, and with his wife and children in the renaming list. On August 1st, 1750, he paid George Morris 50 pounds for 200 acres on both sides of Fishing Creek in Granville County. He was number 87 in the October 8th, 1754 muster. Captain John Silius, company of Colonel William Eaton's Granville County Regiment. And it says on November 10th, 1755, Lewis Anderson signing, his wife Sarah and son Shadrach. All of the Granville County sold for 31 gallons of brandy to Tamara Bass of Northampton County, 100 acres in Northampton County on the north side of Uraha Swamp, being all the land bequeathed the said Sarah Anderson by will of her father John Bass, deceased. And then we got Jethro Bass, was the son of Sarah's brother John Bass. On April 3rd, 1762, Lewis bought a further 96 acres on the north side of Fishing Creek in Granville County. In 1782, he was taxable in Oxford District on 296 acres, a horse, and 5 cattle. His January 20th, 1783 Granville County will was proved in May 1785. On March 10th, 1784, in confirmation of this will, he made a deed of gift to his son Lewis Anderson Jr. for 200 acres on both sides of Fishing Creek. Reuben Bass, Bartlett Tiller, Drury Taborn, Lewis Anderson Jr., and Jacob Anderson were buyers at the sale of his estate on December 3rd, 1785. And it says, we can determine Lewis and Sarah's children from the early Granville County tax list and the Lewis's 1783 will. All right, let's keep it moving. It says Shadrach, born before 1739, taxable in his father's Granville household in 1751. His father left him 100 acres, but appointed his brother Lewis Jr. as his guardian. So perhaps he was disabled. All right. Next, we got Lachey or Leisha, born before 1739. Then it says Mary, born about 1739, taxable in her father's Granville household in 1751. In the tax list of Jonathan White in 1762, she was taxable with her parents in the list of Samuel Benton for Oxford District and Fishing Creek, but not with them in Samuel Benton's 1764 list. So she was probably the wife, Mary, with Reuben Bass, who was also in Samuel Benton's 1764 list. She was the daughter of Mary Bass, mentioned in her father's 1783 will. All right, then we got Tamar, born about 1742, taxable in 1754, with her parents in John Salas's tax list. She was also taxable with them in 1755, but not in the next extant list of 1757. She was probably the wife, Tamar, listed with Edward Bass in the tax list for Oxford District in 1761. She was the daughter, Tamara Bass, named in her father's will. All right, next we got Sarah Tyler, born about 1745, first taxable in the 1757 list of Richard Harris. It says she was listed in her father's household in the 1765 list of Samuel Benton, but was not listed with him in Stephen Jett's 1767 list. She may have been married Bartlett Tyler, who was taxed with his wife and sister Jane in Robert Harris's 1768 list. Then we have Lewis, born about 1745. All right, so let's keep it moving. All right, our next person is going to be Margaret Anderson, born, say, 1730. Petitioned the Norfolk County Court against Nathaniel Adams on October 18th, 1753. She called Peg Anderson free Negro, was tithable in Tanner's Creek District of Norfolk County in 1759, and a free Negro. Tithable in the Southern Branch District in 1766. Then it says Sarah Spices sued her in the city of Norfolk Hustings Court on January 25th, 1762. Her children may have been Nathaniel, born about 1741, a free Negro, ordered bound by the church wardens of Elizabeth River Parish to John Dennis in Norfolk County on January 16, 1755, was a resident of Princess Anne County when he enlisted in the Revolution and was sized in 1780. It says age 39, 5'4.5" high, a carpenter, born in Norfolk County, black complexion. Then it says deserted. All right. It says he was a free Negro, head of a household of 3 black persons in Blackwater Precinct, Princess Anne County in 1783, taxable from 782 to 1800, taxable in the lower precinct of the Western Shore on his own tithe and slaves Hager and Pender in 1782 and 1783, on his own tithe in 1784 and 1786, on a horse in 1787 and 1788, and it says, and a Negro taxable in Portsmouth and Elizabeth River parishes in Norfolk County in 1804 and 1805. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's see. Next, we have Harry, born, say, 1750, son of free Peg. Says no family name mentioned. Bound to Nathaniel Adams on May 22nd, 1752, and was called Harry, son of Peg, a free Negro. On July 19, 1754, Richard Scott petitioned the court on this behalf against Nathaniel Adams. All right, then next we have Isaac, born, say, 1752, called son of Free Peg on March 20th, 1755, when the Norfolk County Court ordered the church wardens of Elizabeth River Parish to bind him to Richard Llewellyn, and called a free Negro on November 15th, 1757, when the Princess Anne County Court ordered him bound until the age of 21. To Abigail Llewellyn to be a wheelwright. And then it says on April 26, 1782, the Princess Anne County Court paid him 12 shillings for a fodder he had provided to the Revolution. He married Hester Jordan on December 11th, 1781, Princess Anne County bond, Marshal Anderson surety. All right. Next, we got Margaret, a mulatto bound by the Princess Anne County Court to Amy Burford to read, sew, and knit on December 19th, 1758. It says Anne, born about 1771, registered in Norfolk County on October 16th, 1794, a yellow woman about 23 years of age, born free, and served her apprenticeship with Charles Williams of Princess Anne County. Okay, and then it shows where you can look up that information in the African American Narrative Digital Collection. All right, so let's keep it moving, relatives. Next, we got Dempsey Anderson, born about 1728, was paid £1 by the Princess Anne County Court on April 26, 1782, for corn he had provided to the Revolution. He was a free Negro, head of a household of 6 black persons in Blackwater Precinct, Princess Anne County, in 1783. Taxable in the lower precinct of the western shore of Princess Anne County from 1782 to 1800. Taxable in 1782 on Slave Jack. In 1783 on Nathaniel Whitehurst tithe. In 1784 on Slave Jack. In 1785 on Charles Whitehurst, 4 horses and 5 cattle. In 1786 on Charles Whitehurst, 4 horses, 5 cattle. In 1787 on 2 horses and 6 cattle. In 1792 and 1793 on his own tithe and a tithe over 16. From 1794 to 1807 on a slave over 16 years of age. He registered in Princess Anne County on April 23rd, 1794. A black man about 5 feet 6 inches high, aged 66, born free in Norfolk County. All right. And it shows where you can see that digital collection on him. And then it says his May 11th, 1807, Princess Anne County will proved October 5th, the same year, named his wife Rose and daughter Elizabeth Carter and son Joshua Anderson, who was living away from home when his father made his will. His estate included a slave who belonged to Jacqueline in Thorogood. And then it says Dempsey was the father of Elizabeth, born about 1870, registered in Princess Anne County on October 24th, 1794. Daughter of Dempsey and Letty Anderson, born free, about 24 years old, about 5 feet high. And it says her 10-year-old daughter, Latisse, was registered the same day. It says Free Negro Certificate, 1794. And then it shows where you can see that digital collection. And it says she married Stephen Carter, January 1st, 1796. Princess Anne County bond, Dempsey Anderson surety. All right. Then next we got Joshua. Okay, let's keep it moving. Next is Martha Anderson, born, say, 1733, was living in Lynn Haven Parish, Princess Anne County on May 18, 1762, when the court ordered her son Joseph and Peter Anderson bond as apprentices to Talbot Thompson. Her children were, we got Sarah, born, say, 1750, called Sarah, a free Negro, daughter of, when the Princess Anne County Court bound her to Benjamin Jenkins to learn to read and sew. The court called her a free mulatto when it bound her to Mary Jenkins to read, sew, and knit on March 18, 1760. She was a free Negro, taxable in her own household on the north side of Tanner's Creek in Norfolk County in 1766, taxable in the household of her husband William Fuller in 1767 and 1768 in the same district. Then we have Joseph, born April 17, 1751, son of Martha Anderson. It says no race mentioned. Bound to Talbot Thompson to be a sailmaker in Princess Anne County on May 18, 1762. He was called a free Negro when he was bound by the church wardens of Elizabeth River Parish to John Wilson in Norfolk County on October 21st, 1762, and a mulatto when he was bound as an apprentice shoemaker to William Stevenson in Norfolk County on June 18, 1772. All right, let's keep it moving. Then we got Peter, born May 24th, 1754, son of Martha, bound to Talbot Thompson to be a sailmaker in Princess Anne County on May 18, 1762. He defected to the British in January 1776. About the same time, Talbot Thompson defected. He was fighting for the British when he was captured at Great Bridge, but escaped and hid out in the woods until 1777, when he joined the British fleet on its way to the siege of Charleston. He was taken to England, where he submitted a claim to the Loyalist Claims Commission, in which he said that he still had a wife and 3 children who were enslaved in Norfolk and had lost 4 chests of clothes, 20 hogs, and 4 beds and furniture. Oh, that's interesting. All right, then we got Easter, a free mulatto bound to Tamar Griffin by the Princess Anne County Court on April 14, 1774. Then we got James, born in September 1768, a 9-year-old free Negro bound as an apprentice rope maker to Lemuel Roberts by the Norfolk County Court on December 19th, 1777. All right. Let's keep it moving. Next, we have Marshal Anderson, born, say, 1740, was sued for a debt of £3, 19 shillings in Princess Anne County Court on December 4th, 1767. And he was sued for a debt of £4 by James Whitehurst on May 10th, 1782. Isaac Anderson testified against him on August 15, 1783. The court fined him £1,000 of tobacco for committing adultery with Susanna Pebworth, a white woman. He was a free Negro, head of a household of 8 blacks in Blackwater Precinct, Princess Anne County in 1783. A free Negro, taxable in the lower precinct of the Western Shore of Princess Anne County from 1782 to 1795. Taxable in 1782 on himself. Charles Whitehurst, 4 horses and 12 cattle in 1783 on himself. Joseph Whitehurst, Charles Whitehurst, and Marvel Anderson. Says 2 21-year-old tithes and 2 16-year-old tithes, and 12 horses, taxable in 1784 on himself. We got Jacob Mills, Marvel Anderson, 5 horses and 15 cattle, taxable in 1786 on himself. Marvel Anderson, Thomas Halden, 4 horses and 9 cattle, taxable in 1787 on his own titleable, 2 horses and 10 cattle, taxable in 1788 on his own tithe. Slaves Handy and Samuel and 1 horse, taxable in 1789 on his own tithe and 2 horses, taxable from 1790 to 1795 on his own tithe, and taxable in 1795 on 2 tithes and a slave 12 to 16 years of age. He may have been the father of, and it says Marvel, born about 1766, taxable in Marshal Anderson's household in 1784. He married Nancy Whitehurst, January 7, 1791, Princess Anne County bond, Charles Whitehurst surety. He registered in Princess Anne County on October 24th, 1794. Then it says, son of Betty Anderson, a free light mulatto, was born in Princess Anne County, is about 5 feet 4 and 5 inches high, and in the 28th year of his age. All right, then it shows where you can find his collection. Then we have Sally born, say, 1767, married Charles Whitehurst, February 8th, 1788, Princess Anne County, bond, Joseph Whitehurst surety. Then we got Betsy born, say, 1770, married John Sparrow, March 26, 1791. And then we have, Princess Anne County bond, Marshal Anderson surety. Then we got Dempsey Jr., married Betsy Weaver, January 4th, 1796, in a Princess Anne County bond, Thomas Weaver surety, January 5th marriage. All right, relatives, I'm going to stop for a second, check the chat, see what's going on. See who's in here. All right, peace to my brother Wanagi. I see you, bro. Peace to Copper Hofstep. Appreciate you being in here. Peace to Gretchen Helm. Appreciate you, sis. Thanks for stopping by. Georgina, appreciate you as well. Vicky Simmons, appreciate you being in here as well. And then we got, it looks like Copper Colored Soldier, appreciate you. David Curry, appreciate you up in here. Thanks for coming through, fam. All right, y'all. We're going to keep it moving. All right. So next we have a Fair Anderson, born, say, 1748, was taxable, free Negro in Western Branch District of Norfolk County in 1765, and in the Eastern Division of the Rural of Norfolk in 1767. Then it says she may have been the mother of Sally, born about 1774, registered in Petersburg on February 27th, 1806. It says Sally Scott, alias Anderson, a dark Negro woman, 4 feet 10 inches high, 32 years old, born free in Norfolk County and raised in the city of Richmond. All right, then we got Wilson, born, say, 1778, head of a Norfolk borough. And then it says Norfolk County household of 5 other free in 1810. Perhaps the Wilson Anderson, who was head of a Richmond city household of 5 other free. The same year, he may have been named for John Wilson, to whom Joseph Anderson was bound an apprentice in Norfolk County in October 1762. All right, then we got Nathaniel, born, say, 1780, a free mulatto man, married Morning Reed, a mulatto woman, February 5th, 1803, Norfolk County bond. And it says Pliny Skipworth surety. Then we got Hetty, born, say, 1790, head of a Norfolk borough, Norfolk County household of 2 other free in 1810. And just in case anybody just came into the live stream, we are doing the Anderson family of North Carolina, Granville. All right, so let's keep it moving. Next, we have Jeremiah Anderson, born before 1740, was taxable in 1751 in his father George Anderson's Granville County household in Jonathan White's list. He purchased 200 acres for £5 from his father in December 22nd, 1762, and sold this land on April 10th, 1768. By 1764, he was in his own household, taxable with his wife Margaret and his brother-in-law, David Mitchell, in Samuel Benton's list, and was taxable on 2 tithes in the 1766 summary list. He may have been the Jeremiah Anderson who purchased 108 acres on Jacket Swamp in Halifax County, North Carolina, from Thomas Bull on February 5th, 1763, and sold it on August 22nd, 1775. In 1780, he was taxable in adjoining the Northampton County on an assessment of £100. He was head of a Northampton County household of a black person, 12 to 50 years old, and 4 black persons less than 12 or over 50 years old in the Pries district in 1786 for the state census, called Jerry Andrews. He purchased 100 acres in Northampton County on a road in Henry Hart's Line on September 3rd, 1790, and was head of a Northampton County household of 7 other free in 1790. He may have been the husband of Milla Stewart, who was named in the June 6, 1789 Northampton County will of her mother Margaret Roberts, approved September 1794. It says when Jeremiah Anderson, executor, Jeremiah died January 1st, 1794, when his 100 acres was released to Millie Anderson, administrators of his estate. Millie and George Anderson sold this land on October 7th, 1798. 2 of his children may have been George, who sold Jeremiah's land on October 7th, 1798. He may have been the George Anderson, 45 years and older, who was head of a Richmond County, North Carolina household of 10 free colored in 1820. And then we got Charles, born about 1774. All right. Then we got Lachey Anderson, born before 1739, was taxable in her father Louis Anderson's Granville household in 1751. She had an illegitimate daughter, Liddy, born about 1763, who was bound apprentice to Louis Anderson Sr. On August 3rd, 1768, George Anderson named Leisha and her daughter in this May 1771 Granville County will. Says that she married a member of the Taborn family, perhaps Uri Taborn, before January 20th, 1783, when her father Louis Anderson made his will. Her child was Liddy, born about 1763, married Morris Evans, December 8th, 1784. And it says Granville County bond with Burwell Evans Bondsman. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we got Louis Anderson. Was born about 1743, since he was first taxable in 1755 in the Granville County list of Richard Harris. He was still in his father's household in 1768 in the list of Stephen Jett. He married Winnie about 1769. She was probably Winnie Bass, who was taxable in the household of her parents, Benjamin and Mary Bass. Adjutant to the Anderson in the 1768 list, Stephen Jett. Her illegitimate son, Jacob, was bond to Lewis on August 3rd, 1768. Lewis purchased 265 acres on Beaver Dam Swamp on March 4th, 1769, purchased 75 acres on the north side of Fishing Creek on January 4th, 1777, and sold the 265 acres on Beaver Dam for 60 pounds on February 6, 1777. Then it says in 1777, his taxable property in Oxford District was evaluated at a little over 96 pounds. And by 1782, he was taxable on 75 acres, 2 horses, and 9 cattle. As mentioned above, he received a further 200 acres by deed of gift from his father on March 10th, 1784. He was taxed on 371 acres in 1785 and 571 acres in 1791. It says he sold 100 acres adjoining Bass to his son Peter on May 8th, 1798, and another 7.5 acres to Peter on June 14th, 1804. He was head of a Granville County household of 6 other free in 1800. His June 29th, 1804 will was proved in May 1805, and his wife Winnie made an uncupative will in Granville County on December 31st, 1809. A full list of Lewis's children is given in a refunding bond dated July 2nd, 1814, in the Granville County Estate Papers. And it says Jacob, born about 1765. Peter, born prior to 1775, purchased 100 acres from his father on May 8th, 1798. It says on August 20th, 1814, Peter sold 43 acres on Fishing Creek to his younger brother, Thomas Anderson. And on March 31st, 1820, he sold 64 acres to Thomas Hunt. He was head of a Granville County household of 6 other free in 1800, 10 in 1810, 6 free colored in 1820, and 4 in 1830. All right, next we got Abel, born before 1775, taxable on a free poll in Granville County from 1796 to 1809, listed in Tabbs Creek District in 1806, in Raglan's District in 1809. He married Susanna Evans, May 23rd, 1804, Granville County bond, Benjamin Mitchell's surety, and was head of a Granville County household of 6 other free in 1810. He and Jeremiah Anderson owned 20 acres in Vigo County, Indiana. All right. Let's keep it moving. Next, we have George, born about 1775-76, married Sarah Evans, October 14th, 1800, Granville County bond, William Pettiford, bondsman. He was taxed on 93.5 acres in Oxford District in 1808 and was head of a Granville County household of 4 other free in 1810, 5 free colored in 1820, 3 in 1830, and a 74-year-old mulatto living in Granville County with wife Sally in 1850. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we have Isaac, born about 1775, married Melathan Hines, on September 28th, 1800, Granville County bond, Peter Chavis bondsman. Isaac was taxed on 220 acres in Oxford District in 1796. He made a deed of trust for 220 acres to Randall Minor on November 10th, 1815, sold 50 acres on cattle on March 14th, 1818, and made further sales between 1821 and 1835. He was head of a Granville County household of 4 other free in 1800, 4 in 1810, 4 free colored in 1820, and 3 in 1830. His wife, Melathan, was a 75-year-old mulatto woman in Granville County household of William Evans in 1850. All right, next we have Augustine, born about 1776, married Patient Reeves, December 19th, 1796, Granville County Bond. Abel Anderson, Bondsman. He was taxed on a free poll in 1797 in Epping Forest District on 131 acres in Tabbs Creek District from 1798 to 1806. He sold his land on January 30th, 1808. He was head of a Granville County household of two other free in 1800, two in 1810, and two free colored in 1820. It says his estate was administered in 1827 by Lewis Parham. His wife made a September 12th, 1842 will. Next we have, looks like Roddy or Rhodey, married Darling Bass, January 31st, 1796, Granville County Bond. It says William Mitchell, Bondsman. His November 10th, 1839 Granville County will named Henry Anderson, who was Rhodey's son by Jessie Chavis before her marriage to Darling. All right, next we have Rebecca, head of a Granville County household of two other free in 1800. She married Edward Going, and it says October 31st, 1807, Granville County Bond. Her brother George Anderson, bondsman. Next we have Joyce, married Zachariah Mitchell. Then we have Winifred, married Benjamin Mitchell, December 19th, 1803, Granville County Bond. Her brother George Anderson, bondsman. All right, next we got Abraham, born about 1789, head of a Granville household of six free colored in 1830, and a mulatto living in Granville with his wife Polly in 1850. He sold 3 acres on the east side of Fishing Creek on April 2nd, 1816, and later that year on August 31st, traded the land he was left by his father to William M. Sneed. He made a deed of trust to Isaiah M. Paschal about 1840. All right. Next, we have Benjamin, born about 1790, sold 75 acres on the east side of Harris Creek and Fishing Creek, bequeathed by my father, Lewis Anderson, deceased. And it says on August 3rd, 1816, he was a mulatto living with wife Franklin in a Granville County household of Nancy Chavers in 1850. Then we got Wright, born about 1793. Then we have Lewis, born about 1800, married Mary House, January 1st, 1822, Granville County Bond, George Anderson, bondsman. Lewis and Polly were mulattoes counted in the 1850 census for Granville County. All right, next we got John, born about 1793, taxable on a free poll in 1806, and on 60 acres on Hatcher's Run in Oxford District in 1817 through 1827. He sold this land to Liffey and Eliza Anderson on May 16th, 1835. He was head of a Granville household of one other free in 1810 and 4 free colored in 1820. All right, next we have Thomas, born about 1793. Purchased 43 acres from his older brother Peter Anderson on August 20th, 1814. He was head of a Granville household of one other free in 1810, 7 free colored in 1820, and 6 in 1830. All right. Then we have Sarah, born about 1793. She married John Chavis, and let's see, on June 8th, 1815, Granville County Bond. Abraham Anderson, bondsman, and then it says W.M. Sneed, witness. All right, let's keep it moving, relatives. Next, we have Charles Anderson, born about 1774, was head of a Northampton County, North Carolina household of 2 other free in 1800. He may have been a Charles Anderson who registered it in Norfolk County on May 20th, 1811. He was 5 feet 8 inches tall, 47 years of age, of a dark complexion, blind in the right eye, pitted with the smallpox, with a sink in the right cheek, born free. His wife, Mary Anderson, wife of Chas Anderson, registered on May 2nd, 1811. 36-year-old age, light complexion, 5 feet 4.5 inches high, born free. All right. And it says their children may have been. We got William, born about 1791, registered in Norfolk County on May 20th, 1811, 5 feet 10 inches, 20 years of age, a yellowish complexion, born free, and registered in Princess Anne County on September 26, 1836, age 45, 5'10", a mulatto man, bushy hair, born free in Princess Anne County. And it says his wife registered the same day, and her name was Henny Cuffey, now wife of William Anderson, age 51, 4'11 and a half, a woman of light complexion, registered in Norfolk County, November 22nd, 1831, born free in Norfolk County. They registered the same day as Charles Anderson, who was born about 1812. And then we have, looks like Nissom, born about 1794, registered in Norfolk County on May 20th, 1811, 5 feet 8 inches, 17 years of age, a yellow complexion, freckled on the face, born free. Then we have Richard, born, say, 1800, married Mary Newton, free blacks, December 4th, 1824. Norfolk County bond, Isaac Fuller, security. All right, let's keep it moving, reallys. So next we have Jacob Anderson, born about 1765, was 3 years old on August 3rd, 1768. He was bond to Lewis Anderson, Jr. He was taxed on 100 acres in Oxford District from 1788 to 1803, 386 acres in 1806, and 150 acres on Cattail Creek from 1817 to 1827. He was head of a Granville County household of 6 other free in 1800, 6 in 1810, 9 free colored in 1820, and 4 in 1830. He was appointed guardian to his brother Wright Anderson in February 1817 after his brother Abel, who had been Wright's guardian, died intestate. Peter Anderson was his bondsman. William Evans and Lemuel Tyler, his sons-in-law, were bondsmen for his guardianship, bond on February 8th, August 5th, 1825, and August 7th, 1829. Lemuel Tyler became Wright's guardian on February 2nd, 1834, with William Tyler and Littleton Taburn as bondsmen. All right, and it says Jacob may have been the father of. And we got Winnie, born about 1796, married Lemuel Tyler, December 7th, 1811, Granville County bond, Benjamin Evans bondsman. They were listed in the 1850 census for Granville County next to William and Frankie Evans. Frankie, born about 1798, married William Evans, September 27th, 1812, Granville County bond, Abel Anderson bondsman. There were mulattoes listed in the 1850 census for Granville County, with Massey Anderson, age 76, and Melathan Anderson, age 75, and Betty Evans, age 100. All right, and then we have, let's see, Delilah married William Taburn, June 6, 1810, Granville County bond, Abel Anderson bondsman. All right, and then the next section here says Northampton County, Virginia. Says Catherine Anderson, born say 1720, was a Negro, tithable head of her own household in John Savage's list for Northampton County in 1742, 1743, and 1744. Then it says adjacent to Anne McKinney. It says she was a free Negro who petitioned the court to remove her son James from Nicholas Campbell, executor of Thomas Widgeon, to whom he was bond. Then it says she was the mother of Patience, born about 1738, daughter of Catherine, bound apprentice in October 1742. Then we got James, born about 1740, free Negro, orphan of Catherine Anderson, 9 years old in February 1748, when he was bound apprentice with his mother's approval. And then we have Sarah, born about 1742, a 6-year-old Negro, bound apprentice on October 14, 1748. Then we have, looks like Solomon, born about 1748, 12-year-old son, free Negro Catherine Anderson, bound apprentice on May 14, 1760. All right. Then it says another Anderson family not related to the Norfolk County family. We have Jane Anderson, born, say, 1715. Says was a white indentured servant living in Prince George County on November 14, 1738, when she sued William Eaton for her freedom dues. And it says on March 13, 1739, the court ordered the church wardens of Bristol Parish to bind her mulatto daughter Jane Anderson to William Eaton. She was the mother of, says Sarah, born, say, 1737. Jane, born, say, 1738. John, born, say, 1742. Petitioned the Augusta County Court against Reverend John Craig on June 22nd, 1763, for detaining him as a slave. The court ordered him released on the deposition of Joe Barker that he was the son of a free white woman and was bound out by the church wardens of Brunswick County, Virginia, until the age of 21. All right. Next, we have Sarah Anderson, born, say, 1737, was the mother of an unnamed mulatto child ordered bound out by the Southampton County Court on February 10th, 1757. On November 10th, 1757, the court ordered the church wardens to bind out her mulatto children, Amos and Fanny. On January 23rd, 1764, the Cumberland County, Virginia court ordered the church wardens of Southam Parish to bind her mulatto child, Jane, to Edward Mosby. And on November 23rd, 1772, the court ordered the church wardens to bind out her mulatto children, Jane, Jeffrey, and Fan, to Peter Bondor. It says on April 20th, 1780, the Powhatan County Court ordered the church wardens of Southam Parish to bind out her children, Frank and Hannah. On May 18, 1780, the court ordered the church wardens to bind out her daughter, Fanny, and on her complaint, ordered her son Jeffrey's master, John P. Mondurant, to post bond of 10,000 pounds currency to bring him back to the county. It appearing to court that the said bonder had conveyed the child to Kentucky and sold him there. On December 20th, 1781, she complained to the court that George Brecken was mistreating her children, Frank and Hannah, who were bound to him as apprentices. But she did not appear in court to prosecute the case. On August 5th, 1782, the court bound her son Jeffrey to Peter Pollock. She was the mother of, it looks like, Amos, born, say, 1755, Fanny, born, say, 1757, Jane, born, say, 1762, Jeffrey, born, say, 1765. a mulatto orphan living in Cumberland County, Virginia on August 28th, 1769, when the court ordered the church wardens of Southern Parish to bind him to Thomas Walton. He was bond to Peter Bondor on November 23rd, 1772. He was a mulatto taxable in Buckingham County from 1795 to 1801. And we got Frank, we got Hannah, we got Diana, orphan of Sarah Anderson, living in Cumberland County on February 28th, 1785, when the court ordered the church wardens of Littleton Parish to bind her to John Lipsford. All right, next we have Jane Anderson, born, say, 1738. The mulatto daughter of Jane Anderson was living in Prince George County on March 13, 1738-39, when the court ordered the church wardens of Bristol Parish to bind her to William Eaton. She may have been the mother of. We got John, born about 1757, registered in Petersburg on August 20th, 1794. A dark brown mulatto man, 5 feet 3 inches high, 37 years old, born free and brought up as a turner in the city of Richmond. He married Kizzy Matthews in Petersburg in December 1798 and was listed with Keziah in 1803 as a tanner. And it says he was head of a Petersburg household of 3 other free in 1810. Then we have Clay, head of a Prince George County household of 3 other free in 1810. Then we have Hall, head of a Charles City County household of 1 other free in 1810. All right. Next, we have Fanny Anderson, born, say, 1757, was living in Cumberland County, Virginia on January 27, 1777, when a court ordered the church wardens of Southern Parish to bind out her daughter, Ann Anderson, no race indicated, to John Jude. She was the mother of. Ann, born, say, 1775, bound out on January 27, 1777. Then we have Dicey, a mulatto bound to Thomas Walton in Littleton Parish, Cumberland County, on April 26, 1785. All right. And then it says other descendants in Buckingham County were Abraham, born about 1785, obtained a certificate of freedom in Buckingham County in November 1814, and registered in Lynchburg on January 3rd, 1817. A free man of color, 29 years old in November 1814, of a yellow complexion, 5 feet 8.5 inches high, a blacksmith by trade, and a free man by birth, as appears from the certificate of the clerk of Buckingham County. Then we got Martha, born about 1789, registered in Buckingham County on November 13th, 1815, aged 26 years, about 5 feet 5 inches and a half high, a yellowish complexion, a free woman by birth. All right. And then we have Henrico County. Sally Anderson, born, say, 1760, was a white woman, it says, who had a mulatto son named Claiborne about the year 1779 in Henrico County, according to the registration of her son. She was the mother of, says, Claiborne B., born about 1779, registered in Henrico County on April 18th, 1803. A bright mulatto man about 24 years of age, 6 feet 2 inches high, born free, being the son of a white woman named Sally Anderson of said county. Then we have Maria, head of a Henrico County household of 6 other free in 1810. All right, relatives. So that was the Anderson family, and as you can see, there's a lot of information there. So we're going to stop as far as reading, the family history. Next time we do this, we looks like we'll be at the Andrews family. But again, there's a ton of information in this Anderson family. They did list off a lot of other families' surnames as well. So, you know, if this comes up in your genealogy, this is some really good information that you can look through. And let me stop screen sharing for a second here. Come back over and see what's going on here. All right, so relatives, what I'm gonna try to do is, you know, possibly get the link in here, and it should be in the description of the video. I'm sorry about that. Let me look through the chat here and see who else is dropped in. Let's see. We got Purple Carnation. Appreciate you being here, sis. We also have thought I saw Aboriginal TV in here somewhere. Appreciate you stopping through, bro. But again, we you know, this is going to be really long series to come. As you can see, we're still in the A's as far as surnames go. But, you know, I'm going to keep pushing through this because I know there's people out there that need help with this. So, you know, I'm going to definitely keep going with this, you know, as long as I can. Also, Peace Indigenous, American Leo. Appreciate you being in here. Red Clay, what's up, Cuzzo? What's up, family? Robbie Lawson, how you doing, sis? We also got a Stolen Legacy. Peace. Anybody out there in the chat have any questions while we still live? Anything y'all want to know or anything? Or actually, do y'all have any? Are there any surnames that I could go over for y'all that you were wondering about? Thought about maybe doing that, you know, just doing certain surnames for people, you know, to see if they want to possibly have those shown while I'm doing this. But I definitely appreciate. Oh, I see one. Okay. All right, Gretchen. You said, "Hey, good. Do you know what county or where they're at?" Okay, cool. Clueless. All right. Okay, cool. So yeah, definitely put the names in here if you guys are interested in knowing about certain surnames. And what I'll do is after the live stream, I'll go back through this and I'll make a list, and we will definitely go through it that way. Do a couple series on that. Also, I'll try to get you guys modded up next time around we do this. So just in case we have any trolls or anything like that come up in here. But I definitely appreciate everybody coming into the live stream. You guys know, you know, nothing but love for each and every one of you out there. But I think we're going to end the live stream. And like I always say, I will definitely see you guys next time. And hope you like the stream. Let me know in the comments. Peace.